Emma, and when I left university in 1994, I went and spent what turned out to be 5 years in Vietnam. So my first long poem describes that process of getting there, and then the second shorter poem, I'll come to that in a minute. London to Vietnam. A poster on the common room wall called graduate volunteers to fly to the furthest wings of the world. Vietnam Rainforest Survey, Phu Mat Reserve, Nghệ An Province. Names that swam in unknowns. Cicadas crouched on common room chairs, called me to take them home. The day before I left, there was the rucksack, a friend showing me how to pack. A last call with Dad, who said, "Don't show anyone the soles of your feet." I didn't know how relevant that was, but the cicadas were buzzing now. Noi Bai Airport to Hanoi. Here was the ochre sunset, a boy on a buffalo who watched the minibus thread roads between rice paddies pinpointed by the sun. My cicadas wrapped themselves warmly in each cliché as if they had come home. The Ming guest house rose above rows of black, brown and grey shoes for sale amid the cacophony of bike horns. Strings of bare lights slung from the giant trunks of trees, topped with Hanoi green branches and filled with the sound of cicadas. Cutting through my jet lag over pavements with packed motorbikes and noodle stalls. Volunteers shared rooms, picked up letters from the post restaurant, drank beer boy from thick green glasses and numbed our bums on plastic stools. We ate rice for lunch and pho for breakfast, drove Minsk motorbikes or Honda Dreams, danced in karaoke rooms and a bar called Apocalypse Now. There were trunks to be bought on Tin Trunk Street, bags of rice and packets of noodles to assess, leech socks, 12 people, 12 weeks, 13 rivers away. Leech socks and compasses, mosquito nets, hiking boots and sleeping bags packed. An old Russian I-450 bus, the highway horns, little bodies under rush mats, incense burning into breezes. Stops in roadside restaurants where toilets were always above the family pigs. My cicadas became a little bruised in my bag. Vinh City, 1994. Highway 1 goes through it, and the highest building in Vietnam, a 4-story communist style block of flats and government store, stood filled with space, bored women in owl's eye dresses and Chinese clocks. We waited 10 dusty days for permission to travel, days in our beds or in markets where I tried with sign language to overcome decades of distrust. Nights in a club without my cicadas, where the guys let us down and discovered back rooms of women brought in from the countryside. The authorities finally gave us permission to travel. We drove to the edge of the reserve and spent the night. And spent the first night camped at a gate beyond which the forest rose. We were fed by a hunter who killed, caught, flayed and cooked a deer before our stunned Western eyes. The vegetarians overwhelmed with anxiety. The rest of us, overcome with a man's generosity, ate the uncomfortable meat. The adventure resumed on day 1. We entered Phu Mat Reserve, the name of the poster by Nghệ An Province at last. The truck disappeared ahead with our trucks, and we walked with Hanoi professors who killed a bright green snake with sticks, and we wondered what we'd come there to conserve. Across 13 rivers and a lifetime of walking, we found our camp on a green bend in the river, made tents and a home, set up to count insects, catch butterflies and walk through the forest to find whatever secrets were yet to be found, like a jungle waterfall and catchment pool surrounded by foreign sounds. My cicadas flew off as soon as they could, glad to be finally free of the memory of common room chairs. So we stayed in this camp for about 6 weeks, and there were a lot of leeches in the forest. So this next poem is called Leeched. I warn you, there might be some squeamish trigger alerts. To walk was to scratch the surface of the earth, Unaccustomed as I was to sliding uphill on heavenly oats and humid heat, I hiked with our group and guides, filed like red ants whose bites ballooned red welts. Some days we raised tarpaulin shelters together to shield us from rain and mist that filled everything we saw for hours, and walked on after the clouds had cleared, glad of the canopy where monkeys howled and teasing birds hid among the leaves. Orchids hung high above our heads, living their epiphytic lives, feeding off trees. Their purple, green and white petals looped the only flashes of colour among endless shades of green. And leeches, like mini monsters, attached their sordid mouths to skin underneath our clothes and drank cocktails of anticoagulant and blood before passing out in a fat orgy of plasma on the forest floor. There is no gentle way to remove a leech who has latched on. The guides used a cigarette to burn them off. Others let off squeals of disgust as the fingers failed to grab the sluggish bodies. And leech bites take itchy days to heal, long after ant bites go, long after we left the forest and the mouth-shaped sore wept a reminder of blood, mud and slime we left behind.